I've got a few text messages. I'll take them, and then we'll move on to the next subject matter after a quick reaction. Now, this one from Emma BA says that I do not agree with Mr. Pelpo that the church should stay out of politics. God himself is a politician. I see. David, I seem not to agree with Honorable Rashid Pelpo because the NDC government involved chiefs in resolving the stalemate between Rawlings and former President and President Mills. Now, Cyril in Bachona writes, the posture of some members of parliament on the park is very regrettable when serious, potentially scandalous issues that border on pure criminality are at stake. Some MPs still toe party lines. Are these MPs really concerned about the ordinary taxpayer? We need to grow our democracy to a level where, irrespective of one's political leaning, national issues like Woyome's case will be dealt with. Francis Bodi writes, Dr. Afarijan should listen to the wise counsel being offered by eminent personalities and other state institutions in Ghana. In the UK, they are even thinking of reducing the number of representation in the House of Commons by redemarcating the boundaries. How come Ghana, with limited resources, is always thinking of increasing the number? Acham Davis Amobel writes, is it Anobel? But this is Amobel. Writes, please do we count the days Parliament couldn't form a quorum as part of the 21 sitting days? That is an interesting aspect of it. Kwesi in Secondary, right? There is nothing wrong in preparing for your unborn baby. Thank you about that one. Francis Anderson in London, right? Flag bearers of opposition parties do appoint a shadow cabinet in anticipation of winning elections. Okay, thank you very much. He says that by Mr. Baku's submissions, does that make the process illegal? Any serious group would anticipate probable changes of law decisions that may affect their cause and take steps to mitigate any adverse implications. It is called proactive leadership. A very final text here from Prince Jima in England. He writes, I completely disagree with your panelists who insist the religious bodies are being unreasonable for meddling in the affairs of the CI when it has not reached a stalemate. In anticipation, the NDC is organizing primaries. So why should the religious bodies wait for the worst to happen before they intervene? So everybody talking about proactivity. Okay, thank you very much. I think we ought to move on very quickly. Just a minute.
Did anybody talk about unreasonableness of the churches? So you have to, correct him.
All right. Okay. So
well,
the honourable
the tone of the attack of your general secretary
is bringing to your attention that nobody has said that we're being unreasonable. now, come in a minute. Do me that.
I'm not sure whether I can do it in a minute. I mean, we're talking about the Constitution, and someone mentioned it from London. The word is review. It doesn't say always increase. In fact, it says review the boundaries. Okay. That's the catchword in the Constitution. Why they always increase, only they would know. But that's why we need to. And then on the PAC thing, this is a purely political. I think I consider it a bit astute. It's a clever political trick by the NDC. Because they know that when this matter is interrogated in the open, the heat that will be brought to bear and the incompetence and the corruption that went on will be public knowledge. And they don't want that. And that's why they are going through all these things. You see, with Dr. Brober's situation, he had the opportunity to try and vindicate himself. But I'm not sure our friend has the confidence to do so. And that's why the NDC will try to make it impossible for this matter to be heard. But at the end of the day, we have to consider Ghana first.
A very respectable governance person in this country says that he thinks that it is just right for the decision that Kandapar and his colleagues took was right for them to recuse themselves because there should be the semblance of neutrality. So if bias has been raised, allow them to go. Now let's go to the Arjan tape. Now we had the information from the National Security Coordinator that they were going to investigate the matter. Of course, we know that there's a group that has also petitioned the police, CID, to act on the matter. As we speak, it's been how many weeks? 2 weeks or so. We are not told of any invitation or questioning by national security. The question we're asking that, is this a case of political bias in our security establishment? I'll start with you at this point, Kwabena.
Well, the state security apparatus is very, very key to our national institutions. I was shocked at some of the things I heard the national organizer say on that tape. Even more serious, the fact that it appears that they are in the implementation mode. I mean, if you listen to the language, the grammar, and the tense, it's not as if they are now preparing, because this meeting took place. The information I have is, I think it's June or July. We are in September. You know, so I go back to Chiripone, the by-election, and I was there in person. And the man who fired, and the citizens managed to arrest him and give him to the police. I was there. When we frisked him and took his gun, we saw a national security ID card. I remember that very vividly. And I do believe Metro TV showed the scenes in Chiripone. As of today, I have not heard a word about what happened to that national security operative who fired on MPP supporters in Chiripone. You know, so
you mentioned that you think that they are already in the implementation stage.
Well, you should listen to the tape.
Does that mean that you don't trust Kwabena Duffuor, whose support is needed to give money, and also the security coordinator who needs to help with the ID cards?
Have you listened to the
who
tape?
say they will not support him, and that all he's talking about is he just dreaming?
He was not planning. He was reporting on something that had happened. Listen to the tenses very well. He was not planning.
In respect of national security, he said we will get national security IDs.
He talked about those. They are now uncomfortable to give you more because some of you have misused it. Misused is in the past. You recognize what I'm saying? With reference to Dr. Duffuor, he talks about monies that had been given and that they checked the draft and it will mature on Monday. I'm going to Sunyane, I'll be back. You know, so please, let's be very clear about this matter. I mean, any attempt to try and dress it up, and I don't think they are going to do anything about it anyway. Because it is something that the NDC does. You know, it's something, and he said it. He even made reference to the bodyguards of the former president. He said it. And that in their time, he's talking about pre-2000. You know, and these are people who then worked with the candidate. So these are issues. It's very clear. You should listen to it. It is something that has happened and it's ongoing.
You are equally charged with, you know, some members of your party having made even more explosive comments.
Political equalization.
Even more explosive comments.
Like, we are not talking about comments. We are talking about implementing something and reporting. He made a major gaffe. It's a gaffe. I mean, if you listen to the whole tape, take your time and listen to it. He was communicating, even going to the extent that he doesn't trust a certain region.
Have you had the benefit of listening to the Atachia tape?
No, that's not what we are discussing. We are discussing Yabuaji.
Okay, you were talking about Yabuaji Njan not being mere comments, but planning and other things.
He was implementing something, reporting on the stage of implementation. The cars that you're using, don't use that car. It's not good, it's not fast enough. I'll get you the white Land Cruiser and the pickup, you know. So people had been sent already who had come and reported and they were complaining about the logistics that they were using, talking about the monies for their wives, 5,000 for your, so that when you are off, you know that your back is secured. I mean, the literal translation, because you're speaking in Twi.
You're sure nothing will happen to him?
I'm not expecting. I'll be pleasantly surprised if something happens. But at the end of the day, my prayer is for the national security apparatus, not necessarily the national security as it's known, but the police and the army, to live up to their constitutional mandate and secure this country. I've said this before, that, and I think it was Osafo Mafu who told me this some time ago, that we are all engineers. He keeps saying, in an equation, there are constants and there are variables. You know, the state Ghana will remain the state Ghana. the governments will change. Maybe it doesn't matter whether it's NDC government or MPP government, the state Ghana. So those who should hold on to the state, like the military and the police, we should stop bastardizing state institutions and over-politicizing. And again, if you listen to what is it Mrs. Rose Buatinga did during the registration exercise, I thought it was totally out of character. Your divisional commander takes a certain action. Again, it's like the PAC thing. If you deem it to be wrong, you call him to report to Accra immediately. You don't come out in the open and run him down the way he did. And a few months later, she gets promoted.
You're talking about Fori, Kwesi Fori.
Yeah, I'm not sure the name.
But he acted, we are told that he acted beyond his powers.
But that's why I'm saying if you act beyond your powers in the security establishment, the top should call you down to Accra. You don't, it's like what happened in the PAC. Let's stop bastardizing. Of course, people in the state institutions are the army or the police or even the electoral commission or the judiciary. They are human beings. They may have their political preferences. That, for me, is natural.
Okay.
But to be able to carry out and discharge your responsibilities with utmost respect for the laws and the people of Ghana and try to be as neutral as possible. That's what we need. We want to encourage the national security. When the special forces matter came up, you remember?
I need to move on to tobacco now. Yeah.
I mean, we had never heard of special forces in this country before. But there were all sorts of reasons assigned for the creation of the special forces. And then you hear someone saying that we haven't forgotten about that. When you are there, you are trained, you have to come back and come and do party work. That is a serious indictment.
Do you think in similar light that the security will not do anything, even after hearing Bevlo Latte say that they will take up the matter?
Maybe, just maybe, the media should double check with Lieutenant Colonel Bevlo Latte as to what action he has initiated since he made a public, he gave the public hint that they'll be investigating. And then, of course, it's legitimate to ask why perhaps the police appear to have been sluggish in dealing with this matter, because it was out there in the public domain. I believe Kennedy Japan's was out there in the public domain, it was on air, and the police were very proactive in dealing with the issue. So you'll be wondering why there's some semblance of inertia relative to this particular issue. Some of the issues on the tape contain have security implications. So it's up to the institutions of state. I heard the president say that we should allow institutions of states to work. Okay, so I would expect the police to do so. Let's be honest, over the years, we've had such situations before. Sometimes it's very difficult when the corporates or the suspects or the people at the center of the storm have political connections. You appear to see some inertia being displayed on the side of the appropriate state institutions to deal with the matter.
Is that what you see?
It cuts across the political divide throughout our history. One has to be honest. And I can go back even before the Fourth Republic and give many examples from Nkrumah to today. It's a typical human weakness that comes to bear on how we do things. We cannot continue to do that forever and think we'll build a democratic culture or strengthen our institutions. So here we are. Specific topic you've given to us is the Yabuatin tape. Atachia tape and all the rest are available. The security agencies have heard it. What have they done about it?
The question is that the media and commentators don't appear to have put same pressure.
No, it happened. Atachia station, there were 2-3 radio stations that kept on playing it. It came public and admitted it. But I can tell you, maybe this disclosure is unofficial. As far as I know, investigations by the security services relative to Atachia, I think, showed that they couldn't do anything with it. Kofi Juma's tape was fake. Kofi Juma's tape, the one they used the election 2000, has turned out to be fake. This has been thoroughly investigated by the appropriate state agencies, and they know. Sometimes I don't know why they don't call their boys and tell them that, look, we've done some work on this and they are not prosecutable material, okay? But Kennedy Japan, people thought was prosecutable, except that they went with outrageous charges. We were all here, we said it. At the end of the day, they've reduced the charges to something else. It's being dealt with by the state.
They may not be prosecutable, but you find a groundswell of opinion condemnation, at what you have heard, what's the name? Yao Jan go through?
It happened to Kennedy Japan.
And also Kennedy Japan.
It happened to Kennedy Japan.
But not the previous ones. That
no, I'm telling you, the Atachi thing came up. There was this thing about dead bodies from being places. So the security agencies have looked at that. It has no merit. Yeah, that's why they are not interested in it. Kofi Juma's thing, it was somebody's voice. The person was trying to imitate Kofi Juma. Take it from me. That's what the truth is. Okay? They can't do anything with it because they've done investigations there. I'm saying that perhaps sometimes they should tell the public that in so and so that we cannot continue sitting here and talking of Atachia tape, Kofi Juma tape. They don't really have any merit in terms of serious state investigations. This matter, the police, I'm told they've received a petition. I've indicated they are studying it. The sluggishness is what has become a matter of concern, and it's creating the impression that they may not do anything about it. But since they've taken it, let them tell us something. Let the Bevrulati tell us something. If it's relegated or delegated their responsibilities to the police, fair deal. I wouldn't be concerned about that. But honestly, as a subculture, it cuts across. Sometimes from Nkrumah Day to today, people within government or associated ruling parties have done certain things, and the state institutions are unable to touch them because the people belong to the ruling party or administration. It's a fact, and it's worrying.
Now, Godwin, the security may be slow, but we have somebody like former Attorney General Ikotu, who was mentioned in the tape as a target for attack, and he has indicated that he could take legal action. Do you think that in a situation where we find and come to a certain conclusion, that the conclusion, I don't know how true that may be, that the security is slow, shouldn't such people who have the opportunity of activating the security machinery to work faster days, shouldn't they go to court about it?
Well, you're talking about investigations and then acting on the outcome of the investigation. Depending on the complexity of the issue, the investigations may, drag a while. But all the institutions of governance must act democratically. He mentioned the Atachia tape and then the other tape, which have been investigated upon. I don't know how many people are aware of this fact. Now, the point about acting democratically will mean that when these things come up and then you act upon them, we should know the outcome. It helps because there are people who will be holding the view that, look, similar things have happened and nothing has happened. So why the interest in this one too? They get the point, but that question may be invalidated if, we are told that action has been taken and this is the outcome of it. So
because the outcome was not something they were expecting.
Well, it shouldn't be what they, but it's the democracy. He was mentioning the fact, you made a point, that these institutions, will always abide. But, parties come and go. So it is not about...
for mischievous political purposes, it may not be disclosed.
Well, but at the end of the day, how does it help us as a society? That's the point I'm making.
It helps the political capital of propaganda.
Well, but
the question of equalization that has been raised.
The democracy is not for political parties, neither it is for their propagandists. It is for all of us. So those are supposed to be permanent institutions. And the people who operate them are supposed to operate them on the understanding that these institutions must deliver goods and services that will promote the interests of Ghanaians as a whole and not sections of the society. Now, this is a very serious matter in the sense that, political parties, let me say, are free to, quote-unquote, spy on their competitors. But they should use their own resources and then do it in a manner that is legitimate, just as business entities do. And I don't think that we'll have any problems with that. But if you want to appropriate state facilities and state resources to promote your political agenda in a manner that is not available to all other political parties, then you infringe an aspect of the Constitution, which then becomes a matter we must all condemn. Even having to get people recruited into these institutions in a manner that is not consistent with what we all agree as per the rules, it's a big problem. We have situations where policemen who should be protecting us and be protecting our property are robbing us. to what extent can we attribute that to the improper recruitment process? I don't know. I mean, I recall, I don't know, I mean, the details. Sometime in 2010, I mean, a senior police officer was complaining that some time ago, some of their procedures were not used in the recruitment process. I mean, to what extent do such things contribute to the recruitment of persons not qualified in the security agencies? But, I mean, these things go on every day.
Could it also be like that, like the previous cases where the police don't find the tape worth it in prosecuting? They find that this is a similar situation. And I've had a little argument with someone who felt that there was nothing criminal about it, about this particular tape. And my position, which I have made known, is that this is a clear inchoate offense. There are things that are crime, that are criminal, that you can plan but not execute the effect, and yet it is crime. And there was also a question of admissibility, because, you know, when you secretly tape some things, you may not be able to have the court admit them in evidence. But it appears that you have a clear case where the individual in question has admitted to the content.
Well, to concede, I haven't listened to the tape in detail, but I have picked, I mean, bits and pieces from the media. The gentleman says that go and do this work. That's what he was planning with the people to do. They'll go and fetch information and then, I mean, trace other people. And that I will arrange for these things to be given to you. We don't know whether he has, in fact, arranged. And the tape doesn't tell us that he was arranging with somebody to make those things available. It may well be that the arrangement took place and the resources were then available for disbursement. It may well be that he was now going to do that. It may well be that he was just boasting. These are things that people are in touch.
No, but to the extent,
if you listen to the tape, I've listened to the tape.
Sorry, but to the extent that it is planning crime, even though not executed. That's my own simple way.
And that is the point.
Simple way of defining an inchoate offense.
You are right, and that is the point I made earlier about the democratic nature of these institutions, how they should operate. They must have taken steps. And if they haven't taken steps, they must be doing something towards taking steps. We need to know all these things before we can make a what do we call it, informed pronouncements on them. But as a way of a general point, I think that it is very disturbing. I mean, for us to think that people can even conceive of the idea of infiltrating such sensitive state institutions to advance causes other than the national cause.
Okay.
I think those are things that we can celebrate.
In a minute, you state what you wanted to say, and then I get okay. Now,
well, thank you very much. Before he took his turn, Kovna took his turn, he said that if Wyoming comes on board the PSC, then it means that there will be so much revelations that, you know, I mean, that it will go against the NDC and all that. I thought that we all agree, and he did agree also, that we are dealing with a national issue and we want to see this thing happen in the interest of the nation. And on that score, I expected that we should continue on that line. But now, the impression and the fear we all have is that this PNC is about a party matter. It's about a party that wants to embarrass another party by using a case on an action by an individual that borders on criminality to bring it to bear on the fortunes of a political party, which we all say is unacceptable. And it is also true that when the case, PSC case, called the case of the Ghana at 50 the first time, the same members said that it was in court, so they withdrew it. Until after 2 years, Rocky Broby agreed himself to come to absolve himself. So it came on his own terms. He came there on his own terms. And the same question is asked. How come we can't have Wyoming case following the precedent, allowed him the situation where we say, well, this is a criminal case, it's in the court. Why don't you allow the fact that there had been a precedent to it for him to step aside, or for him not to be invited? But if the man thinks that he has to absolve himself, we invite him, he'll come and absolve himself. I believe that if Wyoming comes here, any revelation that comes out is going to be about Wyoming, not about the NDC at all.
All right, so can you proceed there?
Now, the other issue is that this, our national organizer issue, I think it was wishful thinking on his behalf. I don't think this man has the capacity to do the things he said he was going to do, to influence the police service, to appoint people into the service, to give them money, to get money from the... No, I mean, I haven't listened to the tip completely. But for me, I think that after conversing quietly, when I heard it, I was so shocked. So I talked to some key actors to find out whether it was actually true in confidence, because some of us went through objective situations. They told me they didn't even understand why those things had to be said, because, I mean, how could it happen? They asked me, how do you think that this man can come, bring people here and make them into this and give them power to go and carry? I mean, it's virtually impossible.
Anything is possible.
Yeah. Virtually impossible in the view of the people who talked to me. That they thought that it was not possible for him to do what he thought he was doing. The impression then was it a political talk to use it to get people to think that he can do it and then get their political support? And if that is the case, I don't think we have to make a big deal out of it. Every political party will want to present himself or itself in a way that gives people the impression that they can do things that they actually cannot do.
Do you think sincerely that this approach, which I've heard a number of the people in the ruling government say, is the most effective way to deflate this?
Which approach?
The approach about the fact that this is much ado about nothing, really.
No, it's not much ado about nothing at all.
It's wishful thinking. But you have Siedun Ketia saying portions of the tape have been doctored.
Yeah.
No, I can't say about it. I can't go into the details. But from my discussion with people, I realized that the man could not carry out what he was telling those young people. He couldn't carry it. He can't carry it out. And it's not about party at all. I also think that if the Security Council, the security agency, still finds it necessary to investigate it, they should investigate it.
Do you think
but they should also bring on board all other tape issues that are in the system, so we can have
those they have not yet
comprehensive...
investigated.
Yes, they must all about dead bodies, about disrupting elections. All of them caught in tapes will have to be brought on board. Whether, as my brother and friend, my in-law and friend has said, is already investigated and is found that this is a lie or this is a doctored, and this is, whether it is or not, let it be investigated, let it be brought to the public. How come that our electoral system, which we have fought for and established by the Constitution, could have been, disrupted by a single individual making such pronouncements? All these things are important. The actors may be good people, but now it is brought to the fore that these things cannot be left undone, uninvestigated. Let them be investigated, all of them, and let them be brought to the public domain for us to know what is the...
Okay, we have very limited time to deal with the NDP having been fully certified, and Nana Konadu, whether she will accept or not accept the nomination to be that party's flag bearer, and what would happen to the Rawlinses if this indeed does happen. This show is brought to you by the kind sponsorship of MTN Everywhere You Go, Bank of Africa, and High Sense. And now, amazing things are happening on Ghana's #1 mobile network, MTN. MTN is 11 million subscribers and counting, thanks to the over 11 million customers with over 11 million reasons to celebrate. And to mark this great milestone, MTN is rewarding every member of the family with 11 minutes of talk time for MTN to MTN calls absolutely free. Just say active. Stay active on MTN and get rewarded. With MTN, your connections are countless and possibilities are endless. Explore your world of possibilities. Join the largest family in Ghana today. Our country, our network, our family. IDB, Keke. I see, and Rashid is responding from a different perspective. MTN, everywhere you go. And now, I've got a few text messages here. I'll try and do a bit of them quickly, and then we go to the next. Okay. Jibril A. Majid says, it's surprising how Woyemi has suddenly developed a super Ghanaian element, even though he is alleged to have defrauded the state, deciding when he can appear and not appear before the parliamentary committee. Well, my production tells me that you have to move on, and I'd like to start this one with you, Abdul Malik Kukubako Jr. and NDP gotten a full final certification. It's out now to do the game. But more importantly, they appear to have settled on Nana Konadu Adjumani-Rawlings, but she has now to decide whether to take it or not. Implications for herself, for the Mr. Rawlings, and for the party.
You are inviting me into the realm of speculation relative to a political party that has received this certificate. Is it the final one?
Yes,
yeah,
final
great.
certificate, yeah.
I'm a bit worried about that aspect of this party. Mrs. Rawlings, Mr. Rawlings, are they part of it or are they not part of it? Let them be bold and tell us. Make a disclosure. But for party reps, whether executives or so, to be dropping such hints that aren't too clear, and they also are not talking and everything, and here we are to interrogate that subject matter.
But these are games politicians play.
Yeah, but I think that we've got to a stage, it's about 2 months or so, barely 2 months to an election. You are a new political party. You are threatening to, you know, make waves, have an impact.
Yeah.
You are mentioning some particular significant names that are, we speak, are associated with a particular political party. One is a founder, the other is a member. Used to be a top member or a office holder. 2 significant personalities. They are enjoying this whole media hype and associating their name with it, and we are invited to interrogate it. I am pleading with them that as soon as early as possible, they should boldly indicate where they stand relative to the NDP. Then it will become an exciting package for media scrutiny. As at now, really, it's not exciting.
I see.
Yeah, I'm not excited.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
We've got to move on. And Rashid, does this have any implications if Mrs. Rawlings really accepted to be the party's flag bearer?
No, no implications at all.
For the NDC.
We have a very formidable candidate in the person of His Excellency John Mahama. He's very charismatic, very eloquent about developments in Ghana, and wants to demonstrate that he can lead Ghana to achieve a better Ghana agenda, which we have been pursuing. This is a man who is a man of himself. He's not cut out by anybody.
Konadu haven't been at the forefront of the 31st December women's movement that was spread across the length and breadth of the country. Every helmet.
In that sense, it should be a headache to all
every
parties,
helmet,
not NDC.
So yeah, it should be.
That's an interesting
I'm saying that if her influence on women can be anything that can have any political effect, is to the whole political terrain in general as to NDC. In other words, it should be a problem other parties should also anticipate rather than NDC. Just NDC.
But the support that she brought was for the NDC. So if she gets there, she takes that support away.
If she I think I don't believe so. I know of some women who said that they are 31st December women, but they voted for MPP. They have been consistently voting for MPP. Yes.
That's news to me.
Yes, I know of them. When they invited them to come the last time, they said that they asked for them, they will come, but they still have their party, which is MPP.
So they will be very insignificant in terms of numbers.
So if she has any influence if she has any influence on the women, I mean, I don't think that it was going to affect the NDC alone.
Okay,
But I can assure you that John, it will have no effect on John Mahama at all.
I see.
His Excellency John Mahama.
Thank you very much, Governor.
Well, politics, they say, is about numbers.
Certainly.
Yeah, and gone were the days that, Koku, maybe you can refresh me if my memory. Was it Obeda Sama who said, refer to the December 31st as the women's wing of the NDC?
Yeah. That was somewhere in London.
That's right, something like that. So,
And they stood on NDC platforms and campaigned for the
apart
NDC.
from that, I mean, you know, I appreciate the difficulty. You see, I've been press secretary before. When there is bad news, it's difficult to deal with it. I mean, that's how it is. And at the end of the day, their founder, I mean, if anybody sits here and says that Rawlings hasn't got any gravitas in this country, they should go and watch the African elections and the role he played in 2008. You know, so it's a matter for them to deal with. It's really not for the MPP to deal with. We are prosecuting our campaign. We have every confidence that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will win this one touch, and that the caretaker president will be a caretaker president.
No, but you've been told that it's not fair to refer to him as such, as a caretaker president, because constitutionally he's been sworn into office and taking over. It could have been by default, but
well, it's
he's
still
president.
Is it derogatory?
Don't worry about the semantics. It's English language. I mean. Anyway, but at the end of the day, this is a matter that if you are an astute politician, I would have thought they would be strategizing, but they're trying to brave it and maybe send some good signal to their supporters that it doesn't matter.
But you find that that discussion was part of the Yajan tape?
Yes, and that's why it matters. And that's why it matters to them. And so, well, these are exciting times. I remember there was one old man in Kokomlimli just here, along this line, years ago, 1987, 88, I was just walking up, and he spoke in Twi. I just plead with your listeners. It says, Babna, I'm around here. Say, so these are things that would have been difficult to speculate would happen. I was out of town when there were attacks on the former president from the NDC. I was totally miffed.
Doesn't sound positive.
Oh, you see things.
See things.
Okay. You think
So
things that you think cannot happen
yeah.
can happen.
All right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I mean, so these things do.
Okay. So Godwin, you just a minute. What do you make of these developments? And do you think it's been said that the former president made such a strong comeback into the NDC and to take his party again, as it were? But if anything happens this way, it will erode all of that.
Well, I mean, it's all speculation. They haven't said that they belong to the new party, and they haven't said that they have quit the old party.
The party itself was speculation, but now it's reality. That party, NDP, was speculation.
Yeah, so for now, it is only the existence of the NDP that is a reality, but the membership of the two personalities is not yet a reality.
That's so.
Yes. But, I mean, if you look at the history of parties or individuals quitting and then performing, the history is there. But it may not necessarily also mean that this one, I mean, will go that way. But there has, we need evidence to suggest that this one will be very different from the previous one. Maybe that is part of the surprises that are yet to spring. We don't know yet. So there's very little that one can comment for now.
Thank you very much, Godwin Adagwine. The name Adagwine means that you are not God. Oh. Very interesting. And if you didn't know, my name, Anyenini, means don't bear false witness.
Oh, just a moment, Rashid, it's Jambuati in town.
I hope that I hope that nobody is playing God and nobody is bearing false witness. My name is Samson Ladi Anyenini. I've been your host for the show.